So I have some bad news about Apple's brand new MagSafe wireless chargers. And because of this, for me personally, this thing is gonna be a lot less useful than I expected, and it might be for you as well. Now we all know that because of this new MagSafe charger, the iPhone 12s can finally fast charge wirelessly at 15 watts, which is fantastic. But along with that, this supports standard Qi charging, so it could support a variety of devices, just like Apple lists on their website. Now today, this morning, I came in, plugged it into my Pro Display XDR, which has USB Type-C, and I went ahead and I set down my iPhone 11 Pro Max on top, and it started charging like usual. This thing's actually not connected right now, but pretend it started charging up. Everything is going just fine. Now 10 minutes later, I go ahead and I pick up my phone, and to my surprise, the percentage only went up by 2%, and yes, it was aligned perfectly. Like many of you out there, I'm expecting 7.5 watts out of this charger. That's what multiple tech websites said, and that's a standard for a $10, $15 Qi charger, and that's exactly what the iPhone 11 Pro will accept. So out of my curiosity, I went ahead and purchased a well-rated charging app and ran one of the many tests that I'm gonna mention. My first result was 2.98 watts. Now, I was expecting 7.5, and at 2.98, that means that it takes 4 minutes to charge this phone by 1%. Now, at the same time, I noticed a few things. The first was that my phone was already pretty charged, so I thought, maybe it is limiting my wireless charging because my battery is pretty well charged already. And the second thing is, I'm plugging into my Pro Display XDR. Maybe it's not able to provide the full wattage that this new charger needs. It does say on the box that you need a 20-watt USB Type-C charger, not the 18 watts, the new 20 watters. So I decided to fix both of these issues right away. I grabbed a 20-watt adapter, plugged in the new MagSafe charger, and picked up my iPhone SE, aligned it perfectly, and started my test. After about 10 minutes, I got my result, and it was a shockingly low 1.8 watts. Now, surely this can't be right. This phone can accept 7.5 watts, and it's completely cool, and the battery is almost dead, so it should be able to accept the whole 7.5 watts from the charger, right? That's when I grabbed my really cheap charging stand, and I'll go ahead and link this in the description, by the way, put my iPhone SE on top of here and test it again. And I got a shocking 8.4 watts, taking an average of just 39 seconds for each percentage point gained compared to 3 minutes. I gotta say, I couldn't believe this, so I tested again with the MagSafe charger, making sure that it is perfectly aligned, and this time I got an even lower 1.49 watts. After this, I did a bunch of testing. I grabbed an iPhone XS. I used a different coil to make sure. I also tested out my Note 20, and I took my Mophie charger that Apple has been selling since launch, and the results were interesting. Now, I don't know about you, but I wasn't only planning to charge my iPhone 12 with this charger. I want to replace multiple chargers I have in my house with these new ones so I can fast charge my new iPhone 12s. And then at the same time, I could toss my AirPods on here. I can toss other devices such as Android phones or older iPhones because these things are so much nicer, sleeker, smaller, and better looking. I have a few standard ones like this Mophie, so I tested the iPhone SE on it and it got 5.5 watts, so just a bit shy of 7.5. And my iPhone 11 Pro Max got 7.14 watts despite being pretty well charged, over 80%. Going back to the MagSafe charger, I continued to get between 2 to 3 watts charging the iPhone 11 Pro Max with the 20-watt brick, just like I did when it was connected to my Pro Display XDR, and no more than 2 watts on the iPhone SE, going as low as 0.96 watts, which is insane. My iPhone XS was also between 1 and 3 watts on MagSafe instead of 7.5 watts. Next, it was time to test out the Note 20, which can accept 15-watt fast charging, but I didn't expect MagSafe to offer that here, since obviously it's designed for the iPhone 12, but I was hoping for at least 7.5. I couldn't find the same app, but I found one that read the amps coming in, and instead of getting about 1.3 from my cheap Qi charger, I got about 1/10 of that with constant disconnects, even though it was aligned perfectly. That means that instead of taking 3.5 hours to charge with 7.5 watts, it would take 13 hours or longer on the Note 20 Ultra and between 6 to 12 hours for iPhones. Now, I was planning to charge a variety of devices with this MagSafe charger, even though I know it won't magnetically align like it will with the iPhone 12, and one of those devices are my AirPods Pros. Now, these things take roughly 3 hours to charge with a cheap Qi charger, but if you decide to use your MagSafe charger and it maxes out at those 3 watts that I saw, that will take roughly 5 hours. And if it runs at just 1 watt, like I saw at times with the iPhone SE, that means that it will take 15 hours to charge your AirPods compared to just 2 hours plugging them in with a standard Lightning cable. So what did we learn? Well, first off, don't expect the MagSafe charger to give you 7.5 watts of charging that you typically will use and need for an iPhone 8 or an iPhone SE, 10, 10s, 11, all of those devices, or even the 5 watts that the AirPod Pros are designed to work with. I know multiple people have mentioned this in comments, websites are mentioning this, and that's just what you would expect because that's what the other iPhones allow, and that's what most Qi chargers will give you. I don't know why this is, but in reality, we're getting less than half the wattage from this new MagSafe charger, and at times maybe 8 times less than what I would expect plugging into one of these devices, and that's a bummer. If you were like me and you wanted to swap a few of your wireless chargers to a nice new sleek thin MagSafe charger so it takes up less room and it looks sleeker, and that would give you the ability to have MagSafe for your iPhone 12 and you can fast charge your iPhone 12, but then at the same time you can drop down an Android phone, or maybe somebody else in your family, your spouse or your kids have older iPhones that have wireless charging. They can also come in, pop it on like that and get wireless charging as well. Well, that's not a good idea unless you really don't like whoever else is going to be using this charger and you want to give them, say, roughly 6% wireless charging in half hour of charge time, which is really frustrating. You definitely don't want to replace your other wireless chargers or charge other devices and things like AirPods on them. Now, to point out that Apple never said that this thing can output 7.5 watts, so they're not technically lying about anything, but they are giving us a list of iPhones that are supported, which are all of the wirelessly charging iPhones. So I wish they would disclose how slow of a charge you're gonna get if you actually decide to wirelessly charge those devices with this new MagSafe charger. And in my opinion, it really shouldn't be advertised for it because it is just too dang slow, pretty much useless. Let me know your thoughts about these new MagSafe chargers. Were you expecting them to put out at least 7.5 watts if you're spending $40 on the charger, potentially another $20 on a 20 watt USB Type-C power brick? I think 7.5 watts is really the standard these days, or even 3-4 years ago. So for me, this is a huge bummer, and that means that I still have to keep my previous wireless chargers, which I didn't want to do, and that means that the MagSafe chargers are really only useful for the iPhone 12s, and at that point, I might as well just keep my Lightning cable there to fast charge that device and then use the slower wireless charging for a bunch of other devices or just for convenience. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys enable those notifications because we have a lot of great iPhone 12 and 12 Pro videos coming up. By the time you're watching this, the iPhones are in our hands, so there's some awesome content that is in the works. Thank you guys for watching. Click that circle above to subscribe. This has been Max, and I'll see you in the next video.